Well, good evening and welcome to the West Ham Voice on a Friday night. The Friday, I don't know what I've called it now, the Friday late night. Thank you all for joining. Will it be regular? Who knows? If it's successful, then yeah, I'll probably do it again. No pets allowed, Nigel. If it's successful, I'll probably do it again. If not, then who knows? I might do some other show instead. Got some special guests on tonight. They're not going to be unfamiliar to you. Everybody will know who they are. I'm going to introduce them in a minute. But the format of this show is going to be pretty laid back. We're going to talk about West Ham, obviously, and a few of the things that have been happening over the last few weeks, and the season itself, I guess, and where we go from here. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get involved in the chat. So before I bring the guests on, let's just see who is in the chat, and we'll say hello to you all. Clive, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining. Good evening to you, Darren. I hope you're well. Will I be on time? Always on time, mate. Always on time. Good evening. Good evening, Black Country. You're here before me. Well done, mate. I hope you're well. Kimbo, how are you, mate? Nice to see you again as well. Good evening to you, Paul. I hope you're well. Mr. Ailes, how are you? Legend, not quite. I do have a legend on. Oh, actually, he's let the dog go now, so no, his legend's not going to be on. Martin, how are you? I hope you're well. What are we like watching YouTube on a Friday night? What else can you do, mate? I mean, there's nothing on TV, so best thing to do, isn't it? Who did that? I didn't do that. Evening all from the West Ham Voice. Who else we got? Good evening to you, Adam. I hope you're well, mate. I've got Park Run in the morning. Don't worry, I won't keep you up too late. Good evening, Bradley. I'll see you Sunday, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Daniela. I hope all is well. Darren, 15 to 20 years ago, I would have been in Bagley. Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we, on Monday night, mate? I don't know what you mean. Off your nut? What's all that about? Anil, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. De Pablo, I hope you're well. I did just see your comment there, but it's disappeared. There it is. Good evening, De Pablo. Good evening to you, Gaza. Mr. Will, I see you Sunday as well. I hope you're doing well. Right, let's bring our guests on, shall we? What order should we do it in? Let's bring the older statesman on first. Good evening to you, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine. All that talk of Bagley is 15, 20 years ago. Got to say, though, I was there, but I was no way out of me nut, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even understand what out of me nut is.
Well, yeah, I may have been a little bit out of me. Who knows? I'm not admitting to anything.
So were you a Bagley's cohort? Were you into all that sort of stuff then, were you?
Not particularly, but yeah,
but you know about it.
A little bit, I was into it a little bit. Yeah, I played around the edges.
Was this whilst our next guest was still in his nappies? You were going out clubbing?
No, he actually came there with me once. He weren't at me. He weren't at me.
Let's bring him on.
Hello.
How are you, mate? I hope you're well.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, that was a traumatic experience in Bagley that Gary's talking about.
You had a nightmare, didn't you?
That was New Year's Eve. I was 21 years old. I was all dapper. I was all sharply dressed.
You went to Bagley sharply dressed.
There's blokes with their shirts off, dripping with sweat, trying to cuddle me as I'm trying to put my coat away. I'm like, what is going on here?
That was just me.
Let's bring the next guest on who's just looking like, what the hell are they all talking about?
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Khan. Oh, it looks like he's frozen. No, Nigel's frozen. You are frozen, mate. Oh, he's not frozen. Are you there?
Nigel.
Nige.
The gremlins are back.
Yeah, they're not doing too well tonight. Let's take Nigel off. Mate, you're going to have to probably try and log out and log back in again, Nigel. So those are our guests. Obviously, you must already know the two chaps here from Claret and Booze. And if you guys have yet to subscribe to their channel, you ought to do so, because it's an excellent channel, really, really well run. I love the sort of the stuff that they steal from my channel to put on their channel.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
No, but really, I'm in admiration of the way that you produce your shows, lads. So thank you for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's see if Nigel's here. Are you with us, Mr. Khan? Are you with us, Mr. Khan? Is he winding us up, or is he actually really frozen?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh,
How are you, Nige? I hope you're well.
tired. Dog's sitting tonight. I've got another 2 dogs in here.
2?
Okay, they're
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
what's
are.
going on there? You get at least getting paid for it.
No,
There
they're
you
the
go.
wife's mates' dogs. They're cute little things, but I just thought I'd bring them in the shed.
That's
So they
good. I
might
mean, I've got
start
cats.
one.
We're actually cat sitting at the moment. We're looking after someone's cat. You know, it's bad enough that we got 2 of our own. You know, Linny thinks that we should be bringing more cats into the household. You know, it's
Oh.
there you go, there you go. And while you're on, Mr. Khan, I just said if you haven't subscribed to Claret and Booze yet, you really ought to. On their YouTube channel, it's fantastic. And of course, Mr. Khan, apart from his infamy on More Than Just a Podcast, has got a new website which you really do have to subscribe to, because it does give some excellent write-ups. I think bit different from the others, I would say. Would you agree with that, Mr. Khan?
Well, the idea is it would be different. Otherwise,
Right,
if we all
and
did
it
the
is.
same, I'd run a YouTube channel, wouldn't I?
Oh.
You more or less
Thank
do,
you,
Nigel,
and
to be
see you
fair.
soon, Nigel.
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, it is good. 6foot2.co.uk. If you've yet to subscribe to that, you really ought to.
It's an
fantastic.
education.
It is actually, yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. It is an education.
Thank you very
Right,
much.
enough of you know, promoting you lot. What should we talk about? Why don't we start with the season? There's been a lot of speculation about, you know, how the season's going and so on and so forth. We've had a fantastic run in Europa League. So just an open forum, really. What's your view on how the season has gone, especially Europa, and did we expect to get as far as we did?
No. I didn't. At the start of the season, I didn't expect. I didn't expect us to get as far as what we had done. However, with the way that we started, that did kind of realign my expectations for the season. Because I think we got off to a flyer, didn't we? Got off to an absolute flyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's been amazing, and all of the. I don't want to sort of tear through everything, Stel, because you probably want to sort of go into things like the January transfer window and stuff like that, didn't you? But
I don't.
I think
Well done, Nick. That was about a
Strike
minute
one.
of your summing up before you mentioned it.
I know.
In the
I know. But
Well,
no. But
okay,
honestly,
it's a topic.
in retrospect, it's been we none of us would have predicted where we are now and what we've achieved at the start of the season. You know, we wouldn't have. So
Yeah.
I still want more, of course, because I'm greedy. But yeah, I'm yeah. You can't not be happy with it. It's amazing.
What about
Yeah,
you, Gary? I mean, when we started the European tour, I mean, we saw the teams that we were lined up against in the group stages, and I think many of us would have kind of said, "Yeah, we probably get through that." Did we all think, or did you think that we'd sail through it the way we did?
No way. I thought that the Thursday night football would first of all interfere with the Premier League, and for half a season it didn't, and that's because he was able to rotate the squad quite a bit until some injuries came upon us, and we got that mass fixture pile up around Christmas and New Year when all the other teams were crying off with COVID. We ploughed through, you know. But no, I didn't expect to get through the group. It's quite as easy because to me they looked like decent teams. Rapid Vienna looked like a decent team. Croatia Zagreb looked like a decent team. We were unseeded. We were unseeded minnows. Hopefully that'll never happen again. But it was amazing the way we did that, and the run in the Europa League was beyond my wildest dreams. I've got to be honest. Before the season started, I predicted 8th and perhaps get through the groups. That's probably what I expected. Yeah, to do this and to get to the quarterfinal of the League Cup and to the 5th round of the FA Cup, we've played, by the end of the season, we would have played 56 games. That's a long season for West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nigel, I mean, Gary's just touched on it. We weren't even seeded. You know, we were the new boys on the block
3.
sort of thing, with the clubs that we were up against, who had some pedigree, didn't they? Zagreb had been involved. I think they were Champions League and Europa League. I think Vienna as well. I think all 3 teams, weren't they, have been involved in European football quite considerably, a lot more than us. I mean, what were your thoughts when you first sort of saw what we were lined up against? What did you think the same as Gary? Because I've got to be honest, I thought much the same as Gary. If we get through the group stages, we'd have done well. Maybe the next round after that, maybe that would have been it. What about yourself?
No, he's genuinely getting.
I don't know how
Where he is.
long my internet's
Gonna last.
No,
It's not going to last, is it?
he's on
Okay.
dial-up. He's on
He's on-
dial-up broadband.
The dog sat,
No, it ain't gonna last.
the dog
I'll give
sat
it-
on the internet.
I didn't think we would get.
Turn your video off, Nigel. See if it works.
Yeah,
with
turn the
your
video
voice.
off, mate.
Just
And
do
see if you can-
audio.
The camera.
Do I?
You
Tell
got
you
the
what else
camera
might
off?
work as well. 1 minute. I'll tell you what else might
No.
work still. 1 minute.
Go on,
If I
mate.
go
Is that better?
into.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh no, I can't. You can't change the broadcast quality midway through, because if we'd have changed it down to 720,
720.
yeah,
Yeah.
it might have been easier for him.
Ah, right.
And now,
Okay.
now we're broadcasting. We can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, can you hear us now, Nigel?
I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
actually
we can
look
hear
better
you.
now.
So, yeah, you do look a lot better. You look a lot healthier there.
Yeah. I just yeah, I look younger. That was an old pick he used. I mean, yeah, who really thought we'd get the semis? Not really, did
No,
He's
Tough
suffering,
team.
isn't he, with the
he's,
link?
he's definitely struggling.
Oh.
He's definitely struggling.
You are, mate. Sorry, mate. Do you wanna log back out and try and log back in again? Can't even hear me, can we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's gone.
yeah.
All
But
right,
no,
Nigel
but
will be back.
Yeah, but no, I do think. I mean, my fear was, I think we knew that fatigue was going to kick in when we was doing the Thursday, Sunday. I was amazed with how well we started the season, and as it wore on. All right, we'll skate past January. As it wore on, obviously it did start to impact our league form. But look, do you know what? Like it does with many teams that are doing that. You know, unless you are the very, very top teams, you know, your Man Cities and your Liverpools, and you've literally got two, you know, world class starting 11s, which not many teams have got, have they? You know, that not many teams have got that. You're gonna suffer, and I just think the way that we've balanced it to a degree. I don't know whether it's luck or judgment. I haven't got a clue, but how we can, because it feels like we've gone on a bit of a bad run in the league, but somehow we're still where we are, which
Yeah.
seems a bit mental, really.
I mean, it's interesting because you look at some other teams that have been involved in Europe over the past few seasons, and I'm thinking primarily of Wolves, Leicester, and so on,
Yeah,
where their form has suffered by playing the
Yeah.
Thursday, Sunday, and
Yeah.
I think you're right, Nick, because we went through a couple of ironically, we went through our first bad patch when we weren't playing European football. That was December. Was it Decemberish time?
it was when we lost Ogbonna, we lost Ogbonna, then Zuma, and
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
what brought that on.
And then and then it seemed that after the group stages were over and we were through to the knockout stages, we kind of went through another sort of rough patch as well. But other teams have suffered whilst they've been playing Thursday, Sunday, and
It's not unusual. It's not unusual.
it is unusual, isn't it? Yeah.
No. I mean, it's not unusual to suffer in that scenario.
Oh, it's not right.
No,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
and we didn't for ages. That
Yeah.
December, the fixture pile up absolutely killed us, and again, it goes back to we always want to be the honest ones, right? We're not the divers, we're not the cheaters, and when it came to the fixture pile up, we didn't even cheat with that. Every other team, pretty much, apart from a couple, were taking advantage of it and crying off with COVID. I mean, what Arsenal did at the end was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, they were cancelling games and
They're
ended up
paying
with
for
a
it now, though,
backlog.
aren't they? They're paying for it now.
Yeah, they are paying for it now, sort of, but they're probably, you know, still got a massive chance of getting into the Champions League. So it's up to you to say whether they're paying for it or not. I don't know whether they are.
I think they'll
You know,
choke.
but
But it's
we
interesting because
suffered
Spurs
through
did
that
the
period.
same, didn't they? They did
Yeah.
the same, if you remember.
Yeah, they did.
They cried wolf on a couple of games as well during that time.
Mm.
I mean, let's talk about January, because I mean we've all got sort of differing views on the
1 minute.
window, and I think we were all surprisingly disappointed that we didn't bring at least one player in. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way of saying whether another player or two would have made a difference. How do you find that theory, Gary? I mean,
Well,
it's hard to tell, isn't it? It's hard to tell whether a team was going, whether the team was going to do better or not, isn't it?
I think it's really easy to look back and say, if only we'd signed somebody in January, imagine what we could have done. But that's all it is. It's just a hypothetical. It's a theory, right? It's a theory that might have happened. It might have benefited us. We don't know whether it have benefited us or not. We could have ended up signing a couple of lemons in the last couple of days of the window. We could have ended up signing a couple of brilliant players who would have fitted straight in and would have been useful and would have got us to the final of the Europa League. Anything could have happened. You know, we don't know.
I think we can all be happy with where we are and where we're finished, but still acknowledge that January, none of us were happy with January. None of us were.
No,
we had those defensive issues coming into December, as Stel said.
Yeah.
You know, we were starting to suffer. We still had everything. We had the world in front of us. We was in all the competitions. And we all of us said that we needed players in January. Now, look, we're finished really, really strong, but I don't think that now we should sit there and go, oh, well, you know, Moyes was right for not signing anyone. We've got away with it, and it's been a brilliant season. But I can't say that Moyes was right to
No, he
not
wasn't
sign anyone
right.
in January. He
No.
weren't right.
No one's saying that. No one's saying he was right. I would say I was really bitterly disappointed that we didn't sign anybody in January because there was an opportunity there to do it, and we did need to strengthen. We had problems at the time, and we needed to address them. But at the same time, as frustrating as it is, Moyes has certain principles for signing people, and he don't want to sign, in his own words, he doesn't want to sign people unless they're better than what he's got. And
will you accept those same excuses this summer if we don't sign anyone?
No chance. No
Exactly,
chance.
Yeah.
No chance. But
Nick, he's not going to go all summer and not sign anyone, is he?
No, he's not. I think we're going to have a good window. But I'm just saying, it's kind of. I think the excuses that he laid out, we all admitted that. We was all on the stream and kind of admitted that, because I don't think any of us wanted the big marquee signings. You know, you almost just needed a couple of squad fillers, like Dawson-like players, just kind of. You know, just to give us a little bit more depth. I mean, when it materialised at the end of the window, some of the players that we were linked with, I don't think any of us dreamed we was going to be getting a Phillips or you know, who's the guy from Benfica, Darwin Núñez and players like that. I don't think we was thinking along those lines, was we? We just thought that we was going to get players.
Did you find it strange that Moyes came out with those sorts of comments at the time, that we're looking at next level footballers? And you know, it's all very well. It is one thing saying I'm not just going to bring anyone in for the sake of it. We I think we all accept that, don't we? But did it kind of surprise you when Moyes came out with, this is the next level of footballer we're looking for? Because I would have expected that to be said this summertime, rather in the summer transfer window, rather than the January transfer window. Were we aiming a bit too high, still not knowing where we were going to finish up in January? Was that the right approach to take? You know, to be aiming for the likes of the Núñezes.
Not in January, I don't think it was. I think that was a bit. You know, when you look at Núñez in particular, he's playing for Benfica, who are in the Champions League. Why are they going to let their star striker go in January? It's never going to happen. So I don't know. I think what happened there. I mean, none of us really know what went on behind the scenes, to be honest. I know Moyes came out and he took full responsibility in a really embarrassing fashion. But none of us still know exactly what the reasons were behind that. I think it was all pretty much arse covering, some of them, because obviously the way that the fan base was reacting. You know, none of us were happy at that time. We were sort of panicking a little bit. The wider fan base were. Nigel weren't. Nigel never panics, but
no.
But yeah, like I say, I think we have got away with it, and in a sense, it's been amazing. And I think when you consider. That we've achieved what we've achieved in spite of not because that we didn't invest in January. The fact that we've got where we've got, and that really small squad we've been playing week in, week out, have managed to achieve what they've achieved, and David Moyes has managed to manage it and get us over the line the way that he has, because we have got over the line. We've got European football now. I think that's remarkable, but it doesn't mean that January was right, because it wasn't.
No, it doesn't mean it's right, but there was only one thing that really surprised me and shocked me with the transfer windows, because not signing anybody didn't really surprise me because January is always a funny month, and the way they do it by leaving things to the last minute, that can happen. The one thing that really surprised me was Moyes coming out and saying, "I'd like to thank," and he named all the members of the board for helping him.
Cringy. That was one thing that I know Nigel didn't agree with. Nigel didn't
Yeah.
agree with that one. No.
I mean, Nigel, you just made the comment there. Well, he's not going to go throughout the whole summer without signing anyone. I mean, we'd pretty damn well hope so, because someone's just made a comment there. Something like about 5, 6, maybe 7 players are leaving this summer if all their contracts are allowed to expire. We've already heard that Yarmolenko's going. We know that. We know that
think
Noble
Fredericks is
he's going.
Is on his way as well.
Yeah.
So that's 3 already. And there's likely to be, 1 or 2 more as well. So, you've just made the statement there. Well, surely he's not going to go throughout the whole summer without signing anyone. With the way more, I mean, what we've heard over the last sort of, I think we've kind of known this for quite a while. We know that he's in control of who he signs now.
Yeah.
I think he had that from the time he signed his permanent contract, and he's the one that wants to go and scout, even though he's got his scouting network. He still wants to go and see players himself, and he reads the reports and all that sort of stuff. And now we're hearing, and I think we had an inkling of this before, that he's the one that's going to sit down and negotiate contracts, if that's true.
Yeah.
Now, I find that a bit bizarre, because I've always said a coach should coach and a director of football should negotiate.
It feels like a bottleneck to the process, doesn't it?
It does feel like a bottleneck. So having said that, you've said, Nigel, he ain't going to go through the whole summer of not signing anyone. Is there a chance? Is there a remote chance that he might not get as many players in as we kind of think he should?
Well, see, the thing you've caveated there is, as we think we should. We're all speculators, aren't we? At the end of the day, Moyes has been judged throughout the season, game after game, everywhere he's gone, and yet he's proved a lot of people wrong, hasn't he? At the end of the day, if by hook or by crook, finishing 6th is not out of the question, even by losing to Man City, because it then goes to a final day shootout. And the funny thing about it is they've got Palace, we've got Brighton. Palace and Brighton are fighting it out in their own little trophy for the M23 Cup.
Yeah.
But considering their mutual dislike for each other and how much they would each want to finish above one another.
Why do they dislike each other? Just to digress a little bit.
Well, quickly, it stems back to the late 70s when Palace and Brighton were in what you'd call Division 1 now. League One, they were in what was Division 3, and they were fighting for promotion, and they were actually managed by Palace Terry Venables. Brighton was managed by Adam Mallory, both ex-teammates from Spurs. I believe Brighton got promoted out first, and Palace came up the year later, and then they were fighting it out in Division 2, 77-78, and when West Ham fell into Division 2. And there was intense rivalry at the top as well. Brighton managed to get promotion. And I think there was an argument on the touchline between Venables and Mallory. And it sort of, a lot of things were said at the time. And then from that stemmed this, it's probably the most modern of rivalries.
It's a genuine rivalry. They don't like each other.
Basically, they're probably fighting over who gets to keep Crawley. The rest of the country don't care, but let them have their little, I don't know,
gets to keep Crawley.
The funny thing is, like, Palace have got South London, haven't they? Or that little area, South London.
Yeah.
Croydon, Purley and all that, and then Brighton get Sussex, and that's where they meet, Gatwick Airport, isn't it? And
a tear up.
Yeah, for a tear up,
Yeah.
As vegans and Nigels can tear up, French baguettes drawn at dawn. The Palace ones are probably a bit staler.
Yeah.
But but that's where that comes from. But in a way, that's a good thing because where Man United's playing Palace,
they're
going to be thinking, well, we want to finish above Brighton.
Yeah.
We've got our own hoodoo in Brighton. We want to overcome, not beat them in the Premier League era. I think the last 4 or 5 have been draws between the two teams.
We're due a win, aren't we? We're due a win.
Yeah, so we
I
are.
I think Gary alluded to something on one of his videos that he done though, and I think you thinking back, whenever we've played Brighton before, look, every Premier League game's important, but I don't think it's ever had any sort of whenever we've faced them, it's never really had any real meaning. Whereas this game, this time, I think it does.
It's usually been sort of mid-season or and you're absolutely right. Whereas this really does have significance now, doesn't it?
Have you ever come out of a Brighton game thinking, oh, we played quite well today, or we tried really hard, or we were on it? Because we always seem to be off our game against Brighton.
I think it's style, though, Gary. This is the thing. Moyes is going to have to address it because I think they've got the beating of us.
No, I think
they did when Glenn Murray played for them.
Yeah, that's right, that fucker.
Well, I recall the probably one of the worst times against Brighton, and I'm not picking on any particular player, was when we were winning 3-1 at home. And a certain left wing
February
back
the 1st. Yeah.
He even knows the date.
It was February the 1st.
Well, I remember standing in the Bobby Lower and seeing that certain player come on, and I laughed and said he'll give a goal away in a minute. And within a minute of coming on, we were 3-2, and then within minutes of that, it was 3-3, and I couldn't, and you can't blame just one player, but it was just odd that I thought Well, I can, and I do.
And Mr. Walker on a pitch by any chance?
That was the young gentleman who came on as a sub, and I mean that was the time where I thought, you asked Gary, have we played well? That was one of our first games against them for a long time, where I thought we'd actually played really, really well against them, and we were really on top. And then we just absolutely collapsed.
I think at the London Stadium, I've not seen us play well against them once.
No, I think it might be a little bit still their style of football. It's like, it's a reason why Spurs always do well against, the big footballing teams, Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, who try to play the same way, albeit not quite as good. They're a counter-attacking team. They're good against that style of play. They're probably, I will say, Spurs are probably, they play a similar style of football to us, but because they've got that attacking third, they're quite lethal, aren't they? They're lethal. They don't need many chances. I think Brighton, I don't know what it is. It must just be their style of play that Moyes hasn't quite worked out yet, because they always seem to, they're always a better team, in my opinion, whenever we play them.
Yeah.
And they're not a better team. They're not a better team than us, but it's styles, it's football styles, isn't it? So I don't know.
So moving on to that then, I mean, we've had, as we've already said, we've had a fantastic season in Europa. We've had some memorable moments. That Seville game at home, for example, and then what's got to be the highlight, and I know it was voted as the best team performance of the season at the awards the other day, but this absolutely superb performance away from home against Lyon. Do you think, even though we've done really, really well, we've still got to learn how to play? I think you alluded to it, Nick, earlier on, about sort of adapting to European football. We've got to learn how to be a little bit more savvy. European football.
We're going to have to. I mean, we're always kind of crying and falling foul of other teams that are doing the same thing. Look, you've only got, look at the game yesterday. I know it's not European football, but the bloke who we all hate at the moment, because it was Son. He's a diving git. I can't stand him.
But he's a great player.
Yeah.
He's a great player, and do you know what? He won Spurs that game. That was never a penalty, was it? He kind of
after the game, when you're looking back at results in years to come, when you look back at results, no one knows what a dirty diving git he was, right? No. Frankly, listen, I know this is unpopular. As a West Ham fan, I know it's an unpopular thing saying Nigel hates this, but we have got to play these teams at their own game. We've got to do all the shithousery. We've got to do all that.
I don't necessarily want to see diving. I don't want to see diving, but
not for the sake of it, but being smart.
But I'd like to see game management. So, i.e., when we're a goal up or when we're something like that, if we've got to start fouling, doing dirty fouls and And do you know what? I'm not being funny. If you got to lay down and pretend you pulled your hamstring and stuff
Yeah.
like that, minutes, stuff like that, I'm all in favour of, because if that gets you
Right.
over the line, then I'm sorry, everyone else does it, so why not?
One example.
We're better than that.
This could be that you could call this a dive, because effectively it would be, right? When Ramsey came out and, you know, studs up and went into Bowen, right? Now Bowen decided to hurdle the challenge and go down, and he got booked for diving, right?
Yeah.
He didn't dive, he just got out of the way. A proper dive would have been, to my mind, and cheating would have been to leave his leg slightly in there, like Harry Kane or Son would have done. Ramsey comes for him, and Ramsey gets a red card for a dangerous challenge, right? That would have been cheating. But unfortunately, that is what you got to do. Otherwise, you get wankers like Jamie Redknapp saying, you know, it's like something, it was like a scene out of Platoon.
I know.
What are you watching, mate? I mean, have you never even played football, let alone watched it? I mean, you saw what happened there. Why are you doing that? You're trying to be controversial. Even Graham Souness said the keeper should have been punished, and all Bowen did was get out of the way.
I don't even think there's an argument there with that instance there. I don't think there's even an argument.
But there is. There is an argument, because Jamie Redknapp and the other commentator, I think Alan Smith, they were on one side. Jermaine Defoe and Souness were on the other side, because unfortunately I was at home. I gave me tickets to Danny, right? I was at home watching it on telly. I was part with these Muppets. Jermaine Defoe and Souness were saying definitely Ramsey should be punished. The other two were saying, oh, nothing wrong with that. It's fine. He dived.
Yeah. Go on, Nigel. You shook your head on this.
Say one thing. Can we stop mentioning that Tottenham player's name? I've got 2 dogs in the room, and I think it makes them nervous. Anyway. No animals were hurt him making that joke. So anyway, you know, I don't buy that we need to start. The one thing that shocked me was obviously the boys earlier going on about, you know, we need to be a bit cuter in Europe, because when you get to the semi-final, I think we've done okay playing the way that we did, you know. So I don't think realistically there's a cuteness or anything we got to learn to being in Europe. We just need a bit better players. You know, we can all look at Frankfurt sitting 11th in their league. They stopped playing in their league in March.
Yeah.
If you look at their results, they've
almost given up, haven't they?
No, they have set their stall on winning the Europa League.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see that in their results and the way they've played in Europe. To do what they did to Barcelona probably should have been a warning to us.
I think they were lucky. I think they were lucky against Barcelona, though, because I watched that game back.
Oh, you can't be 3-0 up away at Barcelona.
No, I think Barcelona had so many chances. They're honestly, I think they had so many chances. Look. At the end of the day, I've got no complaints about that game apart from the red card. I do think over both legs, I think Frankfurt were the better team. You just got to accept it in that instance.
Well, I disagree. I actually don't think they were a better team. I don't think they were, because
I'd have taken their front three still.
I like Kamada. I think he's a good player. I think I don't want to use it as a pun, but he's a nippy little player.
Still, can we keep the closet racism out of this show?
Please, no, I actually think he is. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very good player. But I actually disagree with you. I think in the first leg we didn't play at our best, but we were still creating so many chances. Yeah. And only if we'd have gone into the second leg with 2-2, for example, I think we probably would have beaten them in Frankfurt, to be honest. Yeah. And obviously losing a player didn't make it any easier. But even in Frankfurt, the first 20 minutes up to the time that Creswell was sent off, we were playing the better football. You know, we were looking. We were looking.
Though, still.
Sorry, mate.
Didn't create a single opportunity in that 20 minutes. I'm just saying.
No, but they did nothing, because I remember talking to the guys and saying it looks like all they're going to do is try and contain us.
I agree. You know? I agree with you, Stel. The first 17 minutes until Cresswell did what he did, I thought we looked massively in control of that game. I thought we looked really good and positive, and I was really upbeat, really upbeat. I was thinking it's going to happen, and then suddenly in the blink of an eye, it all goes tits up, doesn't it? But But yeah, we weren't too far away.
Yeah, I mean, Nigel, I mean, when I say trying to be smarter in European football, I think it's going to be interesting to see who we buy in the summer transfer window. If Moyes decides, because we all know that Moyes quite likes the domestic footballer, the footballer from, you know, the lower leagues, championship and all that sort of stuff. If he goes out and buys a couple of pretty decent, experienced footballers who have played in Europe, they're going to kind of bring that smartness to West Ham, aren't they? You know, the how I'm not talking about cheating, and don't get me wrong, because I don't agree with it either. I don't agree with looking for the dive and looking for the foul and all that sort of stuff. But if he goes out and buys a couple of pretty decent, experienced footballers, let's take Kamada for example, or one or two of the other players that we played against, you know, and Nesri from Seville, and all these other players we've been linked to, they're going to bring an element of smart football, understanding how to play in European competitions, aren't they? I mean, that'd be good for us, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, yes, that is, and there's the club sort of at a crossroads now. You know, if we get 6th finish, that's 2 in a row, which the club's never done in its history.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a massive achievement for Moyes straight away. But we get European football again, and I don't want to say that we've gone as high as we can, but when you look at it, what do we expect from West Ham? Do we expect to, like, for next season, right, we finished 6th, we got to go for 4th or 5th now? Or do you think that actually we got to stick with, you know, go for the European and go for and try and win a trophy? Because personally, and this may seem a bit strange, I would be happy enough in forsaking league football to try and go after a trophy.
So doing what Lyon did and doing what Eintracht Frankfurt have done clearly this
Yeah,
season.
I mean, the thing is, look, we've had 2, so we get 2 top 6 finishes. We don't win anything. What have we actually achieved? 2 top 6 finishes.
Consistency, which is something that's been rare.
Yeah, but to then go something further, for Moyes to join the elite managers of the club, he's got to win a trophy.
So would you sacrifice the league for the Conference League?
Yeah.
Well, this is a topic I was going to come to later on, because
I would as well. I would as well.
And I'll tell you why, because the Conference League gets you Europa League football. Now, next season, it's going to be harder because, you know, there's going to be a lot of clubs. You know, Leicester are going to reinvest again. We've got the Newcastle factor. You know, if we do finish 6th, you know, that means we've finished above Man United. We've got their new manager coming in. You know, to finish top 6 or 7 in the league is going to be harder and harder to keep doing it.
It will be. You're right.
And therefore, I think, why don't we try and build a fantastic cup team and try and win something?
I'll be all up for that.
You know, I just think that your league's the bread and butter. Yeah, I'm not saying you totally forsake it, but what I'm saying is do what they did. You know, go through the early rounds up until December, get into the knockout stages, and then yes, I know, and yes, they're crap, I know, but and then go for the competition and rest the players. The problem you got is that we got, you know, a shallow squad. I will say we got a shallow squad. We're making that even shallower by the players that are leaving and retiring. I just can't see him going out in theory and buying 7 players.
No,
Well,
I'd be inclined to agree with you there, because I mean, I've kind of worked out that in order to stand still, we need 6 players.
6, yeah, that's right.
We need more than that. We need more than that. I mean,
But
we're going to lose.
But I think and this is why I asked the question earlier on in the show, because I mean, Nigel, you said there's no way he's going to go through summer without buying any players. It wouldn't surprise me. I think he will. I think he'll get at least a couple of freebies. I think that's almost a given. It wouldn't surprise me, given the number of players that we're going to lose in the summer. If he gets more than 4 players, I'd be very, very surprised. I think that's where we'll get to.
Yeah,
I think he'll buy 4 players and that'll be it.
I don't think so. I think this is a very different window. It's a very different window, and what you're hearing at the moment from various sources is that he seems to be looking to move out the players who have basically, how can I say, the ones who have lost him loads of games through their bad form. So Masuaku looks like he's on the list. It looks like the ones where he can get a good return and he doesn't rate the player that much. So Diop would be on the list, right? There's even talk that, this reoccurring talk that Lanzini might be on the list, right? So when you're talking about, you add that to Krau and Noble and Fredericks and Yarmolenko, 7 players out. That means really a lot of those players have played a decent part in the season. You've got to replace those players just to stand still. So it ain't just 7 players. It's even more than that. So when you say 4, I'm thinking at least 5 or 6 plus some youth players.
I don't think that's the standstill. And I think it's funny enough, probably still inadvertently alluded to it earlier, or whoever mentioned it about Spurs, is the difference between us and Spurs is their front line.
Yeah.
So actually, if we recruited 4 players where 2 or 3 of them are absolutely top notch, probably 2 are top notch forward line players that will get you goals, then actually we could go that next step and get a trophy.
Yeah.
And I think if the one thing about this season is the firepower.
Do you think, though, what you said about, I don't mind that, winning trophies? It's fantastic. It improves the team. It makes other players look at West Ham and go, yeah, I wouldn't mind being part of that. But when you say kind of not sacrificing the league, but kind of focusing more on focusing more on cup competitions than the league, what would you be happy with by doing that? What level would you be happy to achieve if you were to go for winning a trophy?
You're asking the wrong man still, because if we won the FA Cup and got relegated, I'd be fucking dancing a jig of joy. So relegation's an occupied word, isn't it? I mean, obviously, they wouldn't want relegation, but for me, if you finish top 12, but win a cup, come on, And the thing I always say is, football. Why do we support a football team? Is it to see our team finish 6th, or is it to win something? West Ham's only won cups, and if we're being brutally honest, we ain't going to get the top 4. Yeah, we ain't ever going to win the league, right? So
I'll stop you there, though. We ain't ever going to. People were saying only a couple of years ago we ain't never going to finish in the top half, let alone finish in the top 6.
That was silly, because actually in the previous incarnations of West Ham United, we have finished top half. What more? By finishing 6th twice, he achieved something that's never been done before. But let's face it, plenty of managers have finished 6th with West Ham, and a couple have finished higher.
Well, what about this point John's making? So to win a domestic trophy is much more difficult now. Apart from Leicester winning the FA Cup last season, all the winners over the few seasons have been, Man City, etc. So even though it seems to be getting to a point where some of these other teams are putting out almost their B team, who are still doing better than a lot of other teams.
But because is that because in the League Cup, teams like us put out their B teams as well.
Yeah.
So we then get knocked out.
Yeah. And that was a big mistake that we started making when Arsenal led the way and Man United led the way, taking the piss out of the FA Cup by putting out their kids. And that did demean the FA Cup, And there was a year when Man United didn't even enter it, did they? Or was that League Cup?
1999.
Yeah. That's insulting to that great competition, And for the likes of us, who are in basically the middle, the 2nd division of the Premier League, the likes of us, to follow suit and say, "Oh, if they're doing it, we're going to do it." Oh, don't take the piss. Just try and win the cup.
Do you not think you've got to try and find some balance, though? Because I do think you've still got to compete in the league. Well, so
No,
just
because
to sod
I'm
the
with
league,
Nigel.
we'll get relegated and go for the cups next year.
Didn't say
Well,
relegate. What I said was, it's that if you finish top 14,
Yeah.
I would take relegation if we won a trophy all day long.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'd love to win a trophy, but I don't want to get relegated.
I wouldn't take relegation.
Well, you
but
say
I'd take 17th.
Hold up. You go and ask a Wigan fan, yeah, everything Wigan's been through. You go and talk to a Wigan fan. I'll tell you what, would you stay in the Premier League, but you won't win that FA Cup in Wembley?
Would Wigan ask a Wigan fan if they would trade their FA Cup to be West Ham at the moment?
I don't think they would, Nick.
Ooh,
and this is the thing. I think you get to say. The thing about football is being a football fan. Surely is about glory.
Yeah.
You want glory, so therefore, glory for Wigan is not being a Premier League team. Believe it or
shouldn't
not.
we be more aspirational though?
I think we should. I think we should be.
What is more aspirational than winning a trophy? What is more aspirational?
What's more aspirational
more aspirational in the league as well as winning a trophy? So Grarson's asking the question: do you think it's harder to win something than it was to win a trophy than it was 40 years ago?
Yeah, I do.
So hang on a minute. Let me get this straight. I'm going to direct this to Gary. So after two, it looks like consecutive, potentially top 6 finishes, we've just got to the semi-final of the Europa League. You would now next season be happy with 17th and a League Cup win.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me. No.
Why would you not, Nick? I don't get this.
Still, whose side do you sit on with that?
Well, silverware on the table. Take that. When them players retire at the end of the season, are they going to look at their I finished 6th again medal?
Do you know what?
Going to look at the League Cup winners medal?
But do you know why you don't put all your eggs in that basket, though? For that very reason that somebody else mentioned in the chat earlier on. And that's because you put all your eggs in the League Cup basket and you go, sod the league, we're going to concentrate on the year. You're probably not going to win it anyway.
You're part of the next generation. You're part of the next generation of kids who grew up when the cups didn't mean anything and the only thing that mattered was the Premier League, right? Back in the day when I was growing up, the League Cup was a massive tournament and the FA Cup was a massive tournament as well.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not, but I wouldn't take 17th now. That wouldn't be a good season.
Oh, I would with the League Cup. I would. Bloody hell! Give us another trophy.
Give us another trophy.
Because back then it was the European
Can I just
Cup,
point out
the Fairs Cup?
It was the second. It was the second back then.
Thank
was
you.
it the second? I do apologise. I do apologise.
The Fairs Cup, was only done by cities. Yeah, the reason it was called the Fairs Cup,
the Intercities Fair Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. Why was it called the Fairs Cup?
I don't know.
Because you'd have had to have hosted a fair.
Oh, shut up.
No, please.
Yeah.
But still, what's
so
the
Newcastle,
saying,
Leeds, Arsenal.
He was right. Yeah, so London had held a world fair. These cups had held like international fairs, and they were invited. Yeah. Look at when Newcastle won the Fairs Cup, I think, in 1970 with Pop Robson, who would then go to join West Ham. Yeah. Look where they'd finished in the league the season before. They hadn't finished in the top 5.
Yeah.
It was an invitational cup. It then became the UEFA Cup in the early 70s, and that was done via league qualification.
I think the reason why I put that up is because, I'm kind of a bit torn with this because I've seen what's happened to teams who have played against us, who have put their eggs in the Europa League basket, primarily Lyon and Frankfurt. Now, Frankfurt have got to beat Rangers, to claim anything this season, but they're languishing mid-table. Lyon, it's evident that those two teams have put all their eggs in that Europa League basket, and they might both fail. And this is the dilemma I've got. So I'm in two minds. I kind of agree with you, Nick, and at the same time, I get what Gary and Nigel are saying.
I think RG's put a good comment in the which I completely agree with. Right, football is all about momentum. RG said players can't turn it on and off. Winning 6 selected games is as likely as 6 correct numbers. You've got to. It's momentum. Winning is a habit. You can't just say, "Oh, we're going to ignore the league and go for the cups." I think that's
in 1980 we won the FA Cup, and we didn't bother. We gave up going for promotion.
True.
Yeah,
Now,
I don't know. I think that's a silly strategy.
imagine social media in 1980
Yeah.
when West Ham are forsaking promotion after another
There you go.
season.
Steve has said it there. FA Cup in 1980 was better than winning the league.
There you
Celebrating at Wembley.
Yeah.
And so, you know, though the funny thing is, just to back RG up, 1981, 61 games West Ham played that season.
Yeah.
We got to the final of the League Cup, lost in a replay to the European champions of Liverpool. Got to the quarterfinals of the European Cup Winners' Cup and won the Division 2, losing, I think, only 3 games, only 1 at home, and setting a record for 2 points a win, 66 points under the 2 points a win season.
Yeah.
66 points, 2 points a win. 3/4 of the years at 3 points a win, we never achieved that.
And so if you give us a choice of would we have preferred to have got promoted the year before and not won the FA Cup, we would have told you to go away because that was the biggest thing to happen in my childhood.
I'm not saying
I'm
not saying in any way that I wouldn't love West Ham to win silverware. I'm not saying that.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
But if you're telling me would I be? Yeah, I'd be happy with the EFL League, the EFL League Cup win. But would I be happy with them finishing 17th? No, I fucking wouldn't. I wouldn't be happy with
look
that.
at what Victor's saying.
I'd be delighted.
This is an interesting point. To us, fans winning a cup is everything, but to the owners of a club, being in the Premier League is where the money
is. Bang on the money.
Yeah, I mean, if you read Claret and You, which I haven't, no, unfortunately,
you're not. I thought you was their top subscriber. Weren't you given a trophy for being their top subscriber?
No, mate. So, you know, you'd have seen Sean and his magic numbers on the income. Now, he's probably not far off the money. I mean, this is going to be West Ham's. I don't know what the best way to describe it. They're gonna
financially
the best season they've had.
Yeah.
You know, the cup run with prize money, with ticket money, with TV money. The Europa Cup run's going to add £40 million.
Wow.
To West Ham's bank account. You know, I think we're going to
post something like
isn't it? That's decent,
£230 million income, not profit. You know, which I think our previous highest was about 185 million.
Yeah.
So you can see, you know, the finishing in the top 6 or top 7 and the prize money that gives as well increases that. The amount of games we've had on telly, you know, and this is the thing with me as well, playing in Europe. And playing in these competitions, I mean, we forsake Saturday football.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest bugbear for me this season is the lack of Saturday football. And at least winning something would make it seem worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like the lack of Saturday football, but I'm willing to sacrifice that just to be in Europe. You know,
I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed being in Europe. I must admit, I think it's been
fantastic. It's been amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of people sort of like agreeing more about winning a trophy, and because people are saying, like Bradley's saying here, get where Nigel's coming from. If we were here for the glory, why would we support West Ham?
Yeah,
because it is about being that team, that kind of underdog, and that's another question I'm going to ask about us in a minute. But in the past, it's always been West Ham a bit of an underdog winning a trophy. It's been a great achievement, but should we be still looking at ourselves as an underdog these days, or should we be looking at ourselves and saying, we have got the potential now to become, okay, I know you said earlier, Nigel, we're never going to win the league, but you never know. I bet Leicester fans thought the same thing. Should we continue to look at ourselves as perennial underdogs, or should we be saying to ourselves, you never know, if we do well in the summer transfer window and we improve, okay, not necessarily squad size but squad quality, why shouldn't we be doing as well in the league and also in a cup competition?
I'd rather we try and compete. I'd rather we try and compete on all fronts and just that's what I'd rather we try to do. I know that we can't. You're not going to win everything, but You know, I'd rather have the balance like we've had this year. You know, the semi-final. We're looking like it's a successful season. You know,
I think we are, you know, probably 4 or 5 very good squad players. And by squad, I mean usable players. 4 or 5 good additions away from being a really strong team, as long as we can get rid of the weak links, like the likes of Masuaku, right? If we can do that, if we can flush out most of the weak links, the people who have lost us games, and replace those weak links with, and I would include the likes of Vlasic in that as well. What use is he to us, right?
No, I would cut me losses.
I would maybe even consider Ben Rama and say, look, you've played a lot of games this season, but what have you contributed? All right, 10 goals in all competitions and everything else, but you've largely been disappointing. So can we get an upgrade on you? If we can swap out, you know, 7 players going, whatever, if we can get 4 or 5 usable players into the squad, I think we can turn into something good, especially if we do what Nigel said and improve at the front end of the pitch.
I think the only thing I'd say about Ben Rama, you know, I'm not his biggest fan, but you know what he has proved in certainly the second half of this season. I think he's a very useful backup.
Well, it's interesting. He's had, you know, a lot of people suggest he's not had a great season, but he's our 3rd best.
No, but I've seen enough
former
of him
in terms of goals and assists this season, behind Bowen and Antonio.
How many's he got?
I did have the numbers on Monday. I think he's got 7 in all competitions.
And how many's Bowen got?
He's got 20.
19, 20.
No, how many goals has he got?
He's got 10 goals and 10 goals and 10 assists, isn't he?
I don't do this assist, Nick. It's a modern thing. It's a load of bollocks.
Bowen's got 10 goals. I think Ben Rama's got about 7.
Right.
And assists.
And what's Antonio got?
Antonio's goal ratio is 8, I think.
Right, and therein lies the problem.
Yeah,
Nigel, assists are not nonsense because I managed me under 13s team, and it's the only way I've managed to get my front 3 passing to each other is to make goal assists rather than top of the goal leaderboard. Otherwise,
it's a crap invention brought about by
it's not
championship manager or whatever. Who come up with these stats and whatever. You know, Trevor Brooking didn't live and die on assists. Neither did Alan Devonshire. Yeah, well, I didn't need to know how many assists he made to know he was a bloody good player.
It's a good stat. Like someone that can make that key pass to set up a goal. It's a good stat.
Let me correct you. Ben Rama has scored 8 in the league and 3 in Europe. So he scored 11.
There you go. Jared has got 10 goals. Antonio 9 goals.
Is that 10 goals in all comps?
In all comps, yeah.
So Ben Rama scored more goals than Jarrod Bowen?
I thought Jarrod Bowen had scored 16, hadn't he?
No, what did I say?
That's in the league. That's a league.
Is that in the league? Sorry, that's in the league. Yeah, there you go. Here's a question I want to put to you guys if I can find it. It's because the chat for some reason is jumping again. I don't know why. Rhonda and Tony, and it's Tony. Good evening to you. Will they want to spend the board 100 million if they're really going to sell in 2023? So we're talking about what we need. And there's all this speculation about what money might be available. I mean, what do we really know? I mean, January, a lot of fans blame the board because they said, oh, yeah, it was all, you know, it was all bluff. And Moyes, the reason why Moyes didn't get anyone was because he didn't have any money, because the board didn't want to spend it, should I say. I mean, we are being told, aren't we, that there's a potential, and I don't honestly believe this. There's a potential of a 150 million pound kitty in the transfer key.
I believe it, and the thing is to go back to that, because I've had a few comments on a couple of our videos that we've done, and they're fine. Look, I can understand the cynicism towards the board. My God, you know, you can understand it, but the fact of the matter is, people obviously, and these are people that love Moyes, and they want to believe it's the January going back to. They want to believe it's the board and not Moyes. Now, I'm sorry, with what David Moyes did when he came out with that press conference, to suggest that David Moyes did that when I think it's more insulting to suggest that David Moyes went up there and took the blame for the board basically cutting his legs off. I don't think he would have done that. I don't think any Premier League manager would do that. I wouldn't even do that in my position. I wouldn't take the blame. I know there's towing the party line and stuff like that, but it's more insulting to suggest that he's that spineless that he would do that. I don't think he is. I don't think he would have done that because, in my opinion,
know.
that would make him spineless to do that, and that wouldn't be doing us any favors.
So
I
are
don't
you
think it makes
suggesting
him-
then that it was all down to him,
Yeah,
and there
100%.
was the money available?
Yeah. And he owned it. He owned it. I think David Moyes owned it. I think that's what he did.
What do you
don't
make of
think
that, Gary?
I don't think it would make him spineless. Personally, I would think it just mean he's playing a political game and keeping his paymasters happy. He knows
because Gary, if that went wrong, who gets thrown under the bus?
him.
And that could have gone. It could have gone wrong. It could have gone wrong.
If he had of no, it could have gone wrong, but not too wrong. We
Yeah.
still would have finished 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, he wouldn't have lost his job. It was a safe bet. But he, how can I say? Come the summer, he knows he's going to want that massive investment. He knows he's going to want to rebuild the squad. So, what's the point in throwing the ball under the bus in the winter and making enemies ahead of the big? You know, the significant transfer window.
You ain't got to throw the ball under the bus, Gary, but you ain't got to come out and throw yourself under the bus.
They want to hear it, Nick. They want to hear support, full support from the manager. They do.
Nigel, what's your take?
Well, this is I'm going to ask Nigel because I know we all know that you probably know a little bit more than we do.
Well, look, the thing about Moyes you got to remember is that he knew that if he did, he had, I think he was given 30 million by Golden Sullivan, and then Kretinsky was offering him any top up he wanted. Yeah, obviously
for January.
He knew by not spending that he would get that in the summer.
Right.
Now,
plus what already he'd be getting.
And this is the thing. And then he knew he would get an 100 million war chest. And people can laugh at that about that, but people got to look back to the last time when we sold players in January, didn't buy anyone. Funny enough, David Moyes was sort of the manager at the time when he had a bit of a clear out. Yeah. But they gave the money to Pellegrini. Pellegrini spent the 100-odd million in that summer.
Good point.
So the ownership have in the past done what they're saying is going to happen now. Now we've got the extra money from Europe that they know is going to come in. In regards to 2023 thing, who knows what's going to happen? I don't think it's cut and dried about 2023. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that go on. This Birmingham City story muddies the water. The way it's reported, actually, and then people read between West Ham fans read between the lines and get it totally wrong. They missed the point that actually Dave Sullivan is obviously good friends with this Bassini bloke. Bassini used to own Watford and lost Watford and got banned for 3 years from being a director of any football league club.
Yeah.
This is years ago. He tried to buy Bolton Wanderers either last season or the season before. Guess what? How was he buying Bolton, William? Yeah, he was doing it with David Sullivan's money. There's obviously a deal going down that Sullivan's got with this Bassini. But Sullivan here is just acting as the financier. They don't want to buy it back into Birmingham City.
What about that clause, though, Nigel, where they've said if there is a default on a payment that Sullivan assumes full control?
Yes, yeah, but that can be got around, though. That can be got around because I'd imagine that when you say, I don't know how the thing is I'd imagine it would have been one of Sullivan's companies rather than Sullivan himself loaning in the money.
It's his investment company.
Is it Congate or something like that? This is the thing. So it would be done that way. He could put up someone, and if you have a look at Everton, you know, Mashiri hasn't got the money. Yeah, has not had the money that Everton spent. So Mashiri's being backed.
Yeah,
he's obviously being backed by someone else who probably used to be part of Arsenal. But I've been told you need to be careful when you drop his name into a conversation. You know, but so there are ways round it. You know, two people owning a football club, but that's a lot of ifs and buts, isn't it? Will he sell in 2023? I think that's down to Kretinsky and whether he'll want to pay. Quite whether Kretinsky's businesses are affected by the war in Ukraine. is hard to tell, because the funny thing is, the one thing that for all the sanctions in the world, apparently the Germans are still buying their gas off of Russia.
Yeah, of course they are.
So, until they stop doing that, then Kretinsky, from what I can tell, ain't really going to take a big hit, because he's big money. He's in the pipeline that ships gas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
I mean, people are sort of talking about this, talking about G is saying he doesn't see Sullivan relinquishing ownership of West Ham, because we are about to hit a purple, but that's what we think. We're hitting a purple patch, and he's going to want to be part of that success, because that's more income for him, isn't it? The more successful the club is.
Do you know, and the thing about it is
yeah,
I can't believe I'm not going to defend them, but the thing about it is that why did they buy West Ham? And there's a twofold. The one thing they really wanted out of West Ham, and they had it until 2016. The one thing they wanted out of West Ham was the love of the fans.
Yeah,
they're populists, aren't they? They want to be loved.
That is what they wanted.
Yeah,
and I was in the minority, and then I sort of became in the majority when people walked into that stadium and saw what I'd been banging on about for years.
I think they are the type of manager. I think they are the type of chairman where I think that they can be bullied by the fans, can't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's evident in
they can be bullied,
when they hired Pellegrini and gave him 100 million.
Yeah.
That was evident then. Yeah.
They went out and got Pellegrini. They hired the name. They wanted a big name to appease the fans. You know, they were deeply affected by the march, by the rise of the real West Ham fan group, and the coming together of remember, the real West Ham fan group brought together 5 or 6, maybe more, West Ham groups to sit under one banner and to go against the ownership. And they were worried about it, worried that, if you want to know how worried they were, go and buy a book called Legacy and read that. And because the last couple of chapters actually covered a bit about that, and it tells you that's how worried they were about the fan group. You can see
who's the author on that one, Nigel?
The author on that is I'm looking at it. It's called Gangsters, Corruption and the London Olympics, and the last couple of chapters does cover the march. It's a fantastic book. I got told to read it because there's a few people in there that I knew about growing up as a kid. Some people I've met through working life, and it covers basically lands around Canning Town and the people that tried to control it because of the Olympic Stadium. And it does deal at the end of the book with the march, and it all ties in. So, he was rattled, and he does get rattled. He's a reactive owner.
Yeah.
So, and he will want to be loved. He will want to be the chairman, that brings success to the club.
So when because I find it kind of, because it's such a throwaway thing that people do, especially on social media, where whenever like January, and stuff like that, the immediate responses from a lot of people, well, these bloody owners, they're not putting their hand in their pocket, etc., etc. And I'm like you, I think when you do things like this, YouTube channels and social media and all that stuff, you kind of owe it to yourself. You start reading a bit more than you will normally do about the club and the background and all that sort of stuff. And it's evident that they have spent money. I've always said that they've always spent money in a very haphazard way. It's not that they don't spend their money.
They haven't spent it well, have they?
They haven't spent it well.
Top
because
7th spot, I think, in spending money in the Premier League. And I mean, the one thing I will say to people as well, because a lot of people don't sort of miss this. When West Ham post records of 200 or 250 million income, that's West Ham's money. That ain't David Sullivan's money. Yeah. And it ain't about the owners putting their hand in their pocket and spending the money. It's the club's money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where I think they were only one season have they ever invested their own money in the club heavily. And when I say heavily, they put £35 million in
during the pandemic.
No, because that was a rights issue. So that was sort of separate.
Okay.
Direct investment out of their own pocket. And that was the year we went down after Abraham Grant. And that was basically them making up the shortfall in the TV money to run the club. And basically, the way I saw it was they were paying for the mistake they made in appointing Avram Grant.
Yeah. So we know they don't fund it, Nigel. But I think one of the
club funds itself.
Yeah, it funds itself. Do you believe they siphon money out?
No, I don't.
No.
No one can ever point a finger at me and go, "You're a ball club."
No.
Do I think they siphon money out? No. They've took money out in interest. That's an argument to have. But let's face it, all the money they've took out in interest, they had to put back when they did that rights issue.
Yeah.
And a rights issue is basically you own 100% of a football club and there's 100 shares in it. What you do is you say you create another 20 shares, so there's 120 shares. You buy them shares, put that money in the club. But guess what? You still own the same percentage. So David Sullivan would have had to buy 51% of those 20 shares. So his stock stayed at 51%. So
why have they been stuck with this label of, because I think there's a lot of fans. I'm worried about the summer transfer window, not because there's no money available, but more because I think Moyes might procrastinate in trying to buy players. Why are the board why are they stuck with this tarnish image that they don't spend money? What's that about? I mean,
what that's about? That's because of, I suppose, once a lie travels 5 times, quicker around the world than the truth takes the time to put his pants on, or something stupid like that. Everybody on social media's got an opinion. There's a lot of YouTube, a lot of social media commentators, people like us, that have put out misinformation, rightly or wrongly, by not understanding. We're not economists, are we? We're not accountants.
Yeah.
So we just look at it and go, "Oh,
we look at it at face value."
Yeah. And and once,
especially on April Fool's Day, Nigel. Especially on April Fool's Day.
I think a lot of it is history. A lot of it is history. It's the way they took over the club. They announced themselves as the club's saviours. We've seen lots and lots of bad spending over the years. I mean, we've signed a myriad of very, very poor strikers over the years. It's running the club as a circus, giving, as we know happened with previous managers, giving them little presents of useless players. It's all these things that kind of added up in people's minds to make it look like we're a bit of a joke. Add to that the move from Upton Park to the London Stadium, and the way that was and the way it is now. I mean, it's improved and everything else. They've done quite well improving it, but actually moving us there was based on a fabric of lies, wasn't it? Let's face it, it was a fabric of lies. So I fell for it. Nigel didn't, but I did. I thought that was the way the club was going to move forward. But you can't accuse them of not spending, and most importantly, you can't accuse them. And this is the one thing I will support them with. You can't accuse them of not running the business well. They've run the business very well. Have you ever seen?
I mean, no. What I would say to that, Gary, and I was talking to, fun enough, an Arsenal fan.
Yeah,
and he was talking to me about the move and everything. Actually, there was another West Ham fan now, and I was explaining to him about how good the deal is for the stadium for West Ham Business Club. But then I always finish with his sentence: I support West Ham Football Club, though, not West Ham Business Club.
No, absolutely right. But unfortunately, those two things overlap, Nigel, as you know. The football and the business side overlap. And going back to what you said earlier about they don't spend their money, well, it ain't their money, it's the club's money. Yeah. If you look at it from a business perspective, that's exactly what it is. They have run that business very, very well. I mean, the one thing I noticed when they first took over Upton Park, I suddenly noticed that those seats that were always empty were not empty anymore. They're good at selling tickets. They'll sell as many tickets as seats that we've got.
Well, I mean,
they're almost giving them away.
They gave a load away at Upton Park.
Yeah, but that's how you create the appetite. That's how you create the appetite, right?
This is true. West Ham would take tickets not sold, claim the game was a sold out, and then bung 500 on a ticketing website. And sell them off for, a cheaper price, because the way the club see it, and they were never down as the sellers. the secondary price.
What's that noise? Is that me?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that is. I thought you was. I thought it was like a dump button still in
Yeah,
case I
yeah.
swore.
Keeping you out.
You know what? You know what it was. You know what it was. It was me. I was pressing my mute button, which is, I was pressing the bleep button.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Sorry about
that.
I could do one of them when I go around.
Yeah. It's a sweat button. Whenever anyone says anything derogatory against the board, you got to hit the beat button.
Yeah. You know, they used to give tickets away. You know, community. Yeah. They used to dress it up. And this is the one thing I talk about at London Stadium that does baffle me. Yeah. You know, Gal, you would have seen it, probably Nick as well. You know, you go to a cup game at Upton Park. Some of the early ones, you'd be lucky. I mean, Mark Noble's debut, 16,000 fans.
Yeah,
you know, 2,500 was Southend. Yeah. And we're going to have probably 60,000 for his last. I don't know where they've come from. I will hold my hand up and say that's the one thing I did get wrong. I never saw.
I think we've always had a big sleep in support. I'm not being funny. I think if Tottenham or Arsenal had have been suffering the woes that we've been suffering for sort of God knows how long, they'd have had similar numbers. They'd have had no supporters.
So, what worries me about that though is we seem to get the 60,000 for. I really do not want to call our fans glory hunters, but all of a sudden, you know, we have full stadiums for certain games. No. But there's been a frustration where a game that would have been deemed a big game in the past, like, you know, against Arsenal, you know, and few to other teams like that.
They don't feel like derbies anymore, do they? Like to the fans, they don't.
No. And I mean, it sort of goes back to the, you know, the question about Europa Conference, you know, and asking the question earlier: is it worth doing or not? We talked about, you know, you mentioned it earlier, Nigel, about Sunday football kind of kills it a little bit. Why doesn't the Premier League do, or TV companies do what Italy does or Spain does, where they have Sunday night football, or bring back Monday night football and stuff like that? Wouldn't it be a better atmosphere, even if it was on a Sunday?
No, I think night games at the London Stadium that ain't in Europe are bloody worse.
Do you think
because of travelling?
It's not great. It's not
great. The travelling situation, getting out of the stadium, and there's a reason why people start pouring out on 80 minutes. Yeah, because if
catching the last train.
Yeah. And you know the stop-go boards and everything. And it's funny how they never mentioned the stop-go boards before we moved.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what we need.
And that pissed you off and always
45-minute wait to get into the train station. You know, I live quite close to the ground as such. Gary's a bit nearer, but you know, to Stratford, the game finishes at 9:45, and I'm getting a train. I'm not home before midnight. And I've got to go to West Ham Station and then get a train that goes 3 stops.
That's a joke. Oh yeah,
it's a crappy place to get to late at night. It really is, and that's why people go home a little bit early, especially if the game is.
And you got kids.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to know another reason why? Sorry, I will say this. Another reason why is at Upton Park. This may sound a bit. I don't know, but listen, have a moan at me if you like. I don't care.
Yeah.
At Upton Park, our support was more local. Yeah.
It was.
The one thing about the London Stadium is it's opened our support is now national. In fact,
it's a transport
it's
hub.
Almost you could go. It's international. People are flying in from like everywhere. You know, the 4 corners of Great Britain.
Yeah,
I think it's very clear though, Nigel. What you're saying is our support on a match day, like Stell said, in what is a London derby with Arsenal and Tottenham, our intense support has been diluted.
Yeah, well, we're called legacy fans now. Apparently, that's the new phrase.
Diluted
instead of old, which is called legacy.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, going back to selling out the stadium and having a well-supported club, our dad always said that West Ham was one of the best supported clubs in the country, right? And we used to laugh along and everything else, right? But I think it genuinely is. I mean, we are a side who have achieved nothing, right? We've literally achieved nothing. We've had an upper, a sixth place finish. We might get a seventh or a sixth this year. We've reached a semi-final and a quarter-final. That is a drop in the ocean when you look at the big boys who are used to winning trophies all the time, right? So you might say they're glory hunters still. I don't think they're glory hunters. I've got to give the board credit here, and I know that might not sit well with people. They know how to sell tickets and price them appropriately to get people engaged and get them to keep coming back. And that's what they've done.
I'll tell you one thing. If we do start getting Champions League football, they ain't going to be cheap for long. The tickets.
No,
of course they won't.
The weird thing is, I've seen this season on Twitter, I've seen a few people saying they're not renewing their season book. And the reason is the cost of travel.
Really?
And the reason is because they live
cost of a fucking hot dog
so far away from the stadium that actually getting to games is becoming too difficult. With the cost of travel and everything else, because they living down in Dorset, like West Country, and living up north, like me and still know John Ratomsky well. Look at John, coming every game from Gary as well, coming from Cheshire. You got Dodsey, who I know, like coming from Taunton, Somerset. I've got another mate, Miriam, who's coming from Herefordshire.
Takes massive commitment to do something like that, and I admire people who do stuff like that.
The travel costs more than the ticket.
Eddie's saying just the same thing here. If you're not local, you're talking about paying us for a small holiday abroad to go and see a game, take travel into account, etc., etc.
Absolutely right, Eddie.
Absolutely.
And that is why possibly, for a big game, people will make the effort. But this is nothing new. Let's not dress it up. This is what we had at Upton Park, a bit on a smaller scale, but we had games where there was 30, 31,000. You're thinking was 3,000 empty seats, and then a cup game would turn up, and there's 10,000 locked out.
It's on a bigger scale now. So you're absolutely right. It's not as if it's all of a sudden become a problem. It's been like that, forever. Moving on, because we kind of touched on it, and maybe do it as the last part of the show. We've talked already about the squad and what we need to do, and like I mentioned earlier, we already know that Yarmolenko's leaving. I think who else did you say? Fredericks is likely to be going, and so on. But some of these players, Yarmolenko, I just want to focus on him for a minute, because he's had quite an interesting time at West Ham. He's been with us for 3 seasons. A lot of people have called him rubbish and useless and this, that, and the other. But it's been an unlucky player. There's no doubt that there's a lot of skill there, and he has done us. He leaves us with 2 big legacies. Let's not forget the goal he scored against Seville, which basically put us into the next round.
Amazing.
Which you've got to applaud him for, considering what he was going through at the time. But what probably was even bigger for me was the goal he scored against Chelsea.
That repaid his transfer fee, that goal.
Yeah. That kept us in the Premier League. That time. And I think players like that, we do seem to be doomed, don't we? That we always seem to get players that get injured, but not for a game or 2. They get injured for bloody half a season and stuff like that. So when you talk about quality, you are looking at that sort of type of player, aren't you? But someone who's a bit fitter. Or are we talking about we got to bring even better than that?
Would you be upset if we retained Yarmolenko for 1 more year?
No,
I wouldn't.
No,
I wouldn't at all.
I wouldn't be either. But he was brought in under the Pellegrini era for it was Pellegrini, wasn't it? For the Pellegrini system. He's not a pacey winger, which is, really what Moyes wanted him to be. Whenever he's used him, he's kind of put him on the right, apart from lately where he started playing him up front. I think he's a very intelligent player, a very good player. He was very unfortunate to have that. He made a great start with us when he first joined. The goals against Everton and everything else, and then he got injured. He just went missing for ages. Come back, just weren't quite the same player and could never break into the side again. And then there's all the changes of manager, where it just couldn't find a place again. So I feel sorry for him. But I totally agree with you. That goal, I think Nick said it. That goal against Chelsea was that repaid his transfer fee. So anyone that calls him rubbish, shut up. He's a good, talented, very high quality player, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. And do we all agree if I know he's not going to be offered it, but if he was offered another year, do we all agree that would be a good backup?
I would
I'll be
take
fine
him.
with that.
I'll take him all day long. I think.
Yeah.
Do you know what he is as well? What he's proved as well. The guy's a big game player. If you need a goal and you want a chance to falter someone, especially in our team at the moment, you'd pick him because he's cool, he's calm, he's yeah. I think he's a good player to have around the squad, and apparently. From what you read, he's a nice guy. Like he's popular within the squad as well, and that's important, isn't it? You know.
I'll caveat it. And say I'd give him another year for lower wages.
Yeah, you got to remember where he came from. He came from, and this is the thing. You know,
absolutely.
When you look at his wages, people will look at his wages, and go, "How can he be on more money?" He was playing with Dortmund. You know,
he was a top
Champions
player,
League football, and he was a great player at Dortmund.
Yeah.
And you know, I suppose it was one of them things where it's weird. If you look at our big buys, they all seem to struggle or flop.
Yeah. Sorry, Nigel. 1 minute. So, Estelle, just go back to Epic Hashtime a minute, where he says Yarmo is useless.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Epic. No, I love Epic. I love Epic.
I know.
But you know something? I'm going to say this now. Yarmo has got more talent in his little toe than Ben Rama's got in his body.
He loves Ben Rama. Epic loves Ben Rama.
But you know, even Ben Rama is Ben Rama a hit or a miss?
I think he's a work in progress.
You know,
so I would keep him. I would keep him though.
If Ben Rama left in the summer, what would you say he was a hit or miss?
No, I'd say he's a miss. Then he's a miss.
Right. Yeah. So therefore, we've had Anderson, Haller, you know, Yarmolenko, you know, Ben Rama, players bought for big money.
Was Ben Rama a Moyes or a Sullivan signing, Nigel?
Do you know, it's one of them where I think he was probably identified before Moyes come to the club.
Yeah. And it was almost done deal when Moyes arrived.
It wasn't
because you know, I watched the Championship playoff that Brentford played in. Remember when they lost to Fulham?
He didn't turn up, did he?
And he was anonymous. And I watched the game specifically to watch him.
Me too.
So we all knew.
Me too.
You know,
he was on his way,
it was like, oh, we're getting this bloke in.
And you know what? You know what? He's done that he's disappeared like that in every big game that he's been played in.
That he started in.
Yeah, that he started in, exactly. Yeah.
Is it a good impact player? I think we should keep him for the bench.
He's a bench. He's a substitute.
Yeah.
So the next one, who we know is leaving, is of course Mr. Noble.
Legend.
I read your article today, Nigel.
Did you?
I thought, you know, because I had
Did you change that then? Last of the 1 team players.
Yeah, that's exactly why I changed the title of Mark Noble there, because it's a good read. I mean, all right, let's talk about, you know, one team players. It will never happen again after him, will it? Can't see it, can you?
All on Ben Johnson, really, at the moment.
It's a big ask for Ben Johnson, isn't it? I mean, he's got 10 years ahead of him.
I mean, if you looked at the article, for those that haven't, it basically it highlighted the previous, like the club, so the one club players to play for West Ham from the war, because it was more prevalent, you know, in the 20s and 30s, to be a one club. So I looked at before the war, and basically there was more than I thought. But if you look at the after Trevor Brookin's debut in '67, there's only been Steve Potts and Mark Noble.
Wow.
Yeah.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
So that, you know, Brookin retired '84, Potts turned up in '85. Potts retired in 2002. Noble turns up 2004. But before Brookin, I think I'd identified 6 players that I'll add John Larwin, even though he only played 30 games. The criteria, I thought, if you play 50 games and you get a bad injury or whatever, you know, I was looking for 50 to 100 games. But I'll add Larwin because he was a one club man for me. played for us, and then backroom staff, and every 35 years at a club. You can't argue with that.
No.
So the majority were late 50s and early 60s. were one club players. That was it. And then, after Brooking in 67, it sort of ceased. It stopped. Steve Potts and Mark Noble. And the one thing, when you look at these as well, and this I don't want to, when you look at the quality of the players that were one club players, Trevor Brooking stands out as the only one probably that was absolutely genuine quality.
World class. But can I say something now, Nigel? Hang on. One second. What I am starting to notice with Nigel, because obviously Nigel, look, I know Nigel can be a little bit harsh on Noble sometimes, but I am starting to sense. Are you going to be a bit of a lump in your throat now when Noble?
No, yeah. I look up until 2018, and luckily, I've got 2-3 years worth of podcast before 2018.
Yeah,
you'd hear me say Mark Noble should walk out on that pitch first every game.
Yeah.
Because it's important for me that a club has a link to where the club comes from and its heritage, and you can't get no more heritage than Canning Town.
Yeah.
So he is that, to be a ball boy at Upton Park and go on to captain the team is what we all dream of. I dreamt the same dream as Mark Noble. He achieved it. And a bit of us is lived out via Mark Noble.
100%.
Yes, I'd struggle with the word legend twofold. At the end of the day, he's been a great servant. He's not the greatest of players, though, but he's made 100% of the ability he's got. You can't fault him for everything else. But the other thing is, as well, is 2018 he did something really that
it was one mistake though, I think that was Noble the fan as opposed to Noble the player.
Well, no, because I tell you what, Noble the fan, from Canning Town knows better to do that.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's emotion fueled, though, Nigel.
Yeah. I just want to question this one-man team scenario when it comes to Noble, because we all know he played for Ipswich.
And Hull. Picture and Hull, and this is a funny thing where modern day now
loans don't count.
Yeah, well, loans don't count. 12 games for Ipswich, 5 games for Hull. And a yellow card. When you say they don't count, Ipswich's stats website lists him as an ex-player.
Really?
Really?
Right? So,
that's not right. I need to take
I'm
that
not,
down.
Also, I'd argue that Bobby Moore, for instance, was a one club man because he went to Fulham. He went to Fulham, and then hang on. He went to Fulham, and then he went to the States afterwards. But basically, we sent him out to pasture. He didn't.
But it don't matter. He's like Billy Bonds. He's not a one club man.
Yeah, but we sent him. But we sent. Yeah, he would have been. He would have been if he'd have joined us earlier. I don't think
he played like 60, 70 games for Charlton.
I know, but 60, 70 games for Charlton. That's neither here nor there, is it? It's the same as Bobby Moore in his Fulham career.
But you're the one discounting it. I'm saying they can't count as a one club man.
No, they can't count officially as a one club man, but I think they can count mainly as a one club man, because Bobby Moore, had he still been at the peak of his powers, West Ham wouldn't have sent him out to pasture, because that was basically a stud farm over at Fulham, wasn't it?
Well, yeah,
it was a resting home for old horses, wasn't it?
But let's face it, he spent 3.5 years there. That was a big chunk of his career. And to be honest, if you watch the Big Match Revisited, when they showed the Fulham games from the 70s, Bobby Moore weren't all that.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was knackered. That's what I'm saying.
He dropped a few rickets. But, it's mad when you think of it, because if you think of the greats of the club, even the Lampards and Alvin Martin, people forget Alvin Martin spent a year at Orient.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard spent a year at Southend.
It shouldn't count.
Well, it does count.
Shouldn't know, should it? You shouldn't know. You just write that off. That is when Alvin Martin can barely walk, right? And he plays a year at Orient. So what? He's a one-club man.
Do you know the funny thing is? I know it's strange because Steve Potts went to Dagenham for a year.
Yeah.
And the reason why I counted him as a one-club man was because Dagenham was non-league.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
Orient weren't when Alvin played for them, and Fulham, so if they'd gone non-league football, I'd have gone, yeah, all right. You can be one club man. But
Brooking played in Ireland, apparently, according to John.
Brooking did play in Ireland, I think, for Cork
count.
City.
That definitely don't count.
No, but he also played for
give me that.
Nalgo in Brentwood. I mean, on Sunday League. We're going to call him in. Bobby Moore played in Hong Kong. This is all that. There, it's true.
The question that was asked by Eddie a minute ago was, do you start Noble on Sunday?
Yeah, I would.
Seriously, do you?
No.
I'll start Noble over Souček all day long.
Stop it.
Stop it with you and your Souček bashing, mate.
You
never hear me.
Listen,
Call a player out like that.
Whoa. The last two games where we looked half decent, right? Now listen, fucking Arsenal and against Norwich was when Souček weren't playing. We looked good again in those games. Why would you bring him back? He's been shit all season.
Oh, mate, give it a rest.
He has been.
Anyway.
Yeah, Gary.
Do you know what? I would play him. I mean, I've watched the interview, Sky interview with
Souček does nothing.
Noble in the pie mash shop, not eating anything with the Sky Sports presenter sitting in the pie mash shop, also sort of pushing stuff around the plate. But I never see him eat a mouthful. Why is it now obligatory that if they're interviewing a West Ham player, they've got to do it in a pie mash shop?
Cockney food, Nige. Cockney food.
Isn't it?
No, mate. Yeah.
And why do they always make the foreign players eat it?
I'd rather see him.
I know,
I'd much rather see foreign players sweating over putting a jelly deal in their mouth.
Well, Kufal seemed to tuck in well, didn't he? But
Peter's made a good point here about a one club player.
Go on.
There are two types of one club player. That's the mind and the heart.
Perfect.
And that's a really good point because you could say the heart of a lot of the players that we've just mentioned would be a one club player.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The thing about one club players is, if you look back at that list that I put up, can't remember them all. Generally, they were West Ham fans as kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at, and that's the thing, when you look at it, Ronnie Boyce, Johnny Charles. West Ham fans as kids. Brooking West Ham fans as a kid. Johnny Lyle was a West Ham fan as a kid.
I didn't realise Lyle got the injury. It cut his career short, didn't it?
Yeah. Literally only played 34 games.
Yeah.
So let's go back. I'm not of the opinion. It doesn't matter who you play. I'm not of the opinion that he should start. So what's the consensus around the board here? I'm saying no.
Start him and bring him off on 16 minutes because that's his shirt number.
Bring him off on 16 or bring him on in the last?
Bring him off.
16.
Bring him off on 16.
Can I ask you? Let me give you my rationale here, right? Souček, we ain't going to get many chances.
Yeah,
against
mate.
Wait. Look.
We didn't play Noble or Souček in the last game.
But we ain't playing much football against City. It's going to be a tactical battle. They're going to have a lot of the ball. Gary, you know what Souček is like under pressure. Why would you play Souček, a bloke who don't know how to use the ball?
This isn't an argument.
This ain't about Souček. Why are you playing?
This isn't an argument whether you play Souček or not.
Because Noble needs to start in that game.
No, you don't have to. You can play.
Noble didn't start against Norwich.
No, exactly. Neither Noble nor Souček started.
No, he doesn't. No, he
You put Lanzini alongside Declan, and then you put Benny, because Benny's back in training, isn't he? So he's fit.
I applaud the sentimentality of Nigel's approach of starting him and taking him off in 16 minutes. I would go along with that for the ride, but I think we've got to take this game seriously. We've got to try and beat Man City. No matter.
All right, well, look, we'll be 2-0 down by 16 minutes, so we can bring him off.
Yeah.
De Bruyne will have had a hat-trick by then, won't he?
Noble's missed a penalty. Take him off.
Yeah.
It's tough for him because, like, watching the interview, I thought it was a great interview with Sky. To go in, I suppose that's what he's got to do as the club captain. To go in and say to Moyes, look, I don't want no sentimentality. It just shows one, the professionalism, and I do think it also shows.
De Bruyne
He generally what he wants is to do what's right for West Ham. Peak too
That's
soon.
That's a great headline. That's a great headline.
Let's hope he has.
Yeah.
I reckon De Bruyne is going to play absolutely shit on Sunday.
Yeah,
Still, didn't you predict a win for West Ham?
Yeah.
No, mate. I said 1-1. I said 2-2.
I read earlier on. Is it right? He's never been in the running for the Ballon d'Or. How?
Who, De Bruyne?
Yeah, he's
because he don't play for Barcelona or Real Madrid.
He's insanely good, isn't he? He's amazing, that bloke.
Overrated, Nick. Overrated.
Yeah.
I think it's because his name's Kevin.
That's it. Yeah.
And maybe because he's ginger as well. That don't help.
Well, Kevin.
Put 4 men on him. Put 4 men on him on Sunday.
So we're losing one captain. We know we're not losing 2 at the end of this season. So let's finish off. Let's finish off. We're losing one captain. We know we're not going to lose 2. This whole shebang about the £200,000 contract for 8 years,
as revealed exclusively on more than just a podcast about 6 weeks ago, but nobody took any notice. And now everybody keeps rehashing that story and claiming it as an exclusive. Our lawyers are watching.
Yeah,
if we could afford them.
I mean, first of all,
I've had 2 good videos out of that one, Nigel. I've had 2 good videos out of that one.
Still had one as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I've even had one. I put it down as I'm sure I've said it first. I mean, let's be honest. This whole thing about being offered an 8-year contract. I mean, how true is that? I'm sure the 200,000 part of it is
6
true.
years with a 2-year option.
Is that what it was?
That's
Right.
Okay, and it was offered several months ago, wasn't it? Apparently.
Look, they've been trying to tie him down for the last couple of years. This is and they keep going back to him, and because the funny thing is, he's on the contract. I think he signed when he was 19 or 20.
Yeah,
and which put him on I don't know if he started quite low down, but he gave him a £5,000 pay rise every 15 games.
Yeah, I think he's, if you work it out now, he's probably on about 85, 90 grand a week or something.
Fat Gitchenko just killed me.
The last comment there.
Give him 300 grand a week for 18 years and he'll sign.
Well, funny enough, that you'd think the club could go to him and just test the water, because apparently when it's turned down because he wants to win things. So
imagine
the story was that no matter how much money West Ham throw at him, he weren't going to sign anything.
RG's just said this. Right, I'm going to tell you this now, Nigel. Listen, sell him now for because we ain't going to get 150. Sell him now for 100 million, or keep him for 3 years and let him go for free.
Keep him for 3 years.
I'd keep him for 3 years.
I'd keep him for 3 years because I think actually the money we could earn
100%.
by being a better team with him may equal it out, but we'll have 3 good years.
4 out of 4. We all agree. 4 out of 4 on that one.
Yeah. He ain't going. He's not going.
Yeah. Well, look, we've done an hour and 45 minutes, and I honestly wasn't sure how this would go, but thank you all for watching and for getting involved. And I'm sorry, try to put as many comments up as we can and try talk about them as well, but do forgive me for not being able to look at every single comment and commenting back on it. Guys, any last thoughts? I mean, the season's been brilliant. Nick's in a really good mood. We're gonna
wait till Sunday night.
Nigel, I'm expecting to get
coming on claret and booze.
We're gonna get goosed. We're gonna get goosed on Sunday.
I don't think we are. I predicted a 2-2. I predicted a 2-2 draw.
Listen,
and I think we're going to finish 6. I think Palace are going to beat Man U.
Listen, let me expect a defeat, and then anything else is good. It's I have to condition myself in this way. It's what I have to do.
I keep forgetting to do this, and I should have done this an hour and a half ago. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. If you enjoy what you've heard and seen, please hit the like button and all that sort of shit. And like I said earlier on, do subscribe to. Let me bring the thing back.
The new network of West Ham fans.
See you, Nigel. do subscribe to Claret and Booze on YouTube channel. They're great bunch of lads, and they really do put out some decent content.
Well, a couple of them are.
And also, if you can really be bothered, do subscribe to KUMB. Oh, I mean 6'2".
Oh dear! It's monkeys at the buttons again.
It's more Claret and Hugh in it. This one, I thought.
Oh dear!
No, seriously, do subscribe to Claret and Booze and 6'2.co.uk, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Guys, really appreciated. Okay, people are putting in predictions, so I've said 2-2. Score predictions, Nick.
Honest?
Yeah.
3-0 City.
Right, Gary.
2-1 West Ham.
There you go, 2-1 West Ham. Nigel.
Well, you know what I said because Nick's just took it as well. Yeah, I can see 3 or 4-0 loss.
Oh.
I won't be devastated. Look, they're sweeping teams aside at the minute, and they
are. But let's not forget the highlight of tonight's show. This man has peaked too soon.
He has. He shot his load too soon.
All right, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching and taking part, etc. And if you've enjoyed it, there'll be another Friday night, whatever I've called it, back soon. Yeah. But also, these guys do a Friday night. What do you call it? Booze up.
Listen. The last one. We're having the last one on Friday. We're closing for a few weeks because we've been doing this for 7 months and we're exhausted.
For a refurb.
So So we're doing our last one on Friday night, 9 o'clock. So. And Canning Town has kindly given us he's given us a picture to give away as well. So we've got a bit of a giveaway going on as well.
Is it a picture of me though?
It is. It's a picture of you. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be our last one. But yeah, so we're gonna have a couple.
But you're gonna put on some shows throughout the.
Yeah. But the week we're gonna have a break from the weekend ones, just until the for the off season, I think.
Cool. Right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining in, and watch out. Probably the West Ham Weekly on Monday if I can get round to doing it. So that's when I'll be back on, and see you all soon.
Thanks, sir.